We left off last video beginning the structure of the UI for our app with our app tab view, right? We can hit the different tabs and see the different screens. Over the next couple videos, we're going to build the initial UI for each one of these screens. And I say initial UI because it's not going to be the fully working final UI you see here, with the app running, right? The baby steps. And the reason I want to build the UI first is because I like having even just like the skeletal UI or with dummy data working. It helps me visualize and get a feel for the app as I'm building the rest of it. So that's the steps we're going to do. Get this kind of initial dummy mock data UI up, and then we'll work on, creating our data and then populating our UI with real data instead of the mock data we built it with. Okay, so we're going to start this video with the map view, which is actually relatively simple. So click on your location map view, and then here instead of text map view, we're going to want a Z stack, because if I look at the design, see the nice little touch I put up there with the grub, transparent logo at the top. So if you remember, a Z stack in Swift UI is kind of like view hierarchical layers, right? So the bottom of the Z stack is going to be our map, and then we're going to put that map logo on top of it. So that's the general structure. So that's why we want to start off with a Z stack to start. And now we're going to do the bottom view. This is going to be our map. So the first thing we need to do is import map-kit, right? Probably need that. So under Swift UI, import map-kit. And now in our Z stack, that gives us access to map. And if I initialize that, see we have a bunch of different initializers, right? Coordinate region, it's really all we need. What that is that says, hey, what part of the world do you want me to show, right? Give me a coordinate. We're going to talk about that. But you can see we can do with annotation items. Those are going to be our custom map annotations later on down the line. See another one, shows user location, user tracking mode. So there's a few different things we can do. And we're going to build on this, throughout the lessons. But again, baby steps. Let's just get the map showing up, right? That's what we want to do first. So there we want a coordinate region. And you can see a coordinate region is a binding to an MK coordinate region. So let's create that up here in the variables here. So at state private var, and it is going to be named region. And it's going to be of type, it's going to equal MK coordinate region. We're going to talk about span in a second. And then initialize that. See, we get the autocompletes. Okay, so you see we get center or a span. So we're going to pass in a center and then give it a span as well. And then for ease of reading here, let's return our parameter name so you can see that better. So you can see the center of the map basically saying, again, give me the location to show, right? So we want the center of our map to be the San Jose Convention Center. So that is going to be a CL location coordinate. Again, this is essentially latitude and longitude, fancy name for that. So if we type CL location coordinate 2D, and then we initialize that, you see we get a latitude and longitude. And let me get rid of the canvas here because, again, my screen is huge. So I run out of room pretty quickly here. So let's put longitude down here. So I have these copied and pasted, right? I went on the internet, looked up latitude and longitude for the San Jose Convention Center, got them here and pasted it in. So the latitude, I'm going to paste that there, is 37.331516. Go ahead and type that out, and then I'm going to paste in the longitude. So the longitude is -121.891054. And again, if you're building a map for your location, you just have to look up that long for yours. Now, a span, right? Okay, we know what the center is. The span is how zoomed in do we want to be, right? Because if we look at the design again, we're pretty zoomed into San Jose, right? It's pretty big zoom. But if you wanted your map to look at the whole United States or Europe or whatever country you're in, you wouldn't want your span to be as zoomed in. So again, that's what the span is. And now let's go ahead and create it. So if I do MK coordinate span, there we go, and initialize that, you get a latitude delta and a longitude delta. Now, basically what this is the bigger it is, the more zoomed out it will be. So I'm going to do our example, and then we'll play with the numbers so you can see it. So 0.01 is how zoomed in we are on our designs. So I'm going to get that working first, show you that, and then we'll come back and play with this so you can see it in action, right? Okay, so now that we have our region, right, MK coordinate region, right, it takes in a center. The center we gave it was basically a coordinate. Latitude and longitude is what CL location coordinate 2D is. Again, so CL stands for core location, by the way. So core location and map-kit kind of go hand in hand together. We use core location to get the user's location in a later video. So once we know the center of our map, we need a span to tell us how much to zoom in. And we're using a delta of 0.001, which is pretty zoomed in. So now that we have our region here, we need to pass it into our map, $region. do a Command B to make sure everything's running. And I can't remember. I know once we build this out more, our preview stops working because it doesn't no, I don't know if preview works with maps. Okay, it looks like it is. Maybe. We'll let it load for a second. I don't know. Let's just run it on the simulator here. And then here we go. This is the map right at San Jose. Of course, that's just the beginning of it. Now, if you notice, look at the top. It's not ignoring the safe area. See that white bar with the status bar? So we can fix that real quick. And also, you're going to see we're going to use this. If you hold Option, you'll get the little pinch to zoom stuff on your map. So you can pinch to zoom in on your map, move it around. So that's how you control the map on the simulator. But that was a delta of 0.01 that's how we wanted to zoom in pretty far. Now let's just try this. Well, first of all, we're going to ignore the safe area. So we fill up the notches. I just like that look better. So on that, we add a modifier to the map ignores safe area, and that should handle that. And now let's mess with our span here. Instead of 0.01, let's do 0.1, right? And you should see a much more zoomed out map. Run it on the simulator. Okay, now we're a little more zoomed out. Actually, I thought it was going to be more than that. Let's try 0.9. See what that is. Let's try 1. Because basically, I think this means the difference in latitude and longitude. So we'll try 1. Hopefully, that's a lot more zoomed out to really illustrate the point. Should be 10x zoomed out of what we just were, right? Yeah, there we go. So now you see we're zoomed out, looking at the the California Bay Area, San Francisco, pretty far out. So you can see you can tweak this span. 1, maybe if you added a 10, it would be all of the US, whatever. But however much zoomed in you want your default map to be, that's what you do. So, and again, how I figured out 0.01, I just dialed it in. I think I started with 0.1. That was too far and just kept dialing it in until I got it as zoomed in as I wanted to. Okay, so we have our map up there. The last piece of the puzzle for this initial part of the UI is getting our dub logo over the map. So for that, we here in our Z stack, right? So our map is the bottom layer of the Z stack. So if we put our image on top of it, image, and we're going to do it named. And remember, if we go back into assets, it is DDG map logo, right? So I'm going to copy that just to be safe. Go back to location map view and paste it in there as a string. So now we have image, DDG map logo. Let's resume our preview. I think maps kind of make our preview messed up, but no. Okay, that is obviously not what we want. We don't want a giant logo in the middle, so we got to tweak this a little bit. First thing you always do with images pretty much is make it resizable so that it'll resize it to fit. That's not what we want either. So we'll do .scaled to fit. There we go. So that kind of just did the same thing a little bit ago. But the reason we did resizable and scaled to fit is because now we're going to give it a frame to make it small because we don't want, we want to be able to see the map. We don't want just the giant logo. So now we'll give it a frame, and I'm only going to give it a height because scaled to fit is going to make it keep its aspect ratio. So as long as I just give it a height of 70, the width is going to take care of itself because it'll keep the aspect ratio there, right? So there you go. Our logo's more reasonable. It's not going to block all the content. Well, it is blocking the content because it's in the middle. So we need to push that up, right? How do we get that pushed up in Swift UI? Well, we need to have a V stack or a vertical stack with a spacer below it. So the spacer pushes it up as far as it can go. So here in our image, right? If you command click the image, you can hit embed in V stack. I'm just going to show you the shortcut once because I'm just in the habit of typing it out, but just to show you that does exist. So I did that. So now it's immediately in a V stack. So the second item in my V stack that I want is a spacer, and that you see pushed it all the way up. And that's a good example, right? You can see this red square is my V stack. The top of the V stack is my logo. The rest of the V stack is filled with a giant spacer. So you see that pushed the logo up. And one more time to run it just to see the fruits of our labor in action on the simulator. There you go. We have our map. We move around. There's the grub logo. I did forget to add one little thing for subtle effect here. I do add a .shadow with a radius of 10. You can't really see it in dark mode. You can kind of see it in light mode. Again, it's kind of these subtle little things. Feel free to add it. Feel free to not add it. But you can see I give it a little shadow just to make it pop just a little bit more. Again, super subtle. But our map is on the screen. Again, baby steps. So right, we have our map screen, our location screen, which we're going to build next, isn't there. Profile, not there, but our map starting to come together. We're going to revisit this a few videos from now after we get our initial UI set up to start doing the annotations, getting the locations, all that stuff. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're building the structure of our UI first. On to the next one.